Okay, so it looks like we're live. So let's start with this. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Virtual History 360. I'm Mr. Wade, and today we're continuing our countdown of the Civil War 100 with number 97, Charleston Harbor. Let the music fade out. Turn it down a little bit for you guys. Don't want to overpower. All right, so how's it going, everybody? Hey, we got a few people in. Hope everyone's having a good night. Happy Monday, everybody. As I said, I'm Mr. Wade. This is Virtual History 360. This is our next installment of our Civil War countdown. Again, continuing, and I'm in a different studio, so it's harder to see. Continuing with our Civil War 100 by Michael Lee Lanning. We are now down to number 97. To recap, let's see, we've seen number 100, Palmetto Ranch, the last battle. Then we looked at John Pelham, Daniel Butterfield, and now we're up to number 97. Hey, my day is good, Kroll Block 076. It's a great day. It's 7 o'clock where I'm at. Hope you guys are having a good night. The weather is beautiful down here in Florida. I don't know where you guys are at, but it's nice here. Let's see. Give you guys a second, see if anyone wants to jump in before we get started with the actual story. But I do want to share that I do have this challenge going. I want you guys to go out there and find a historical marker, take a picture, leave it as a comment, tell me about the ones you find, because you will be amazed at the kind of history you can find in your own neighborhood. You find that little sign, the historical markers, stop by, walk by. They're usually near parks and stuff. You'll find them, okay? So I'm going to keep that challenge going. And now it's been about 2 minutes. I think it's time to get into our actual story. All right. Now, please do me a favor. You're seeing this live. I appreciate that. If you're watching it on replay, that's great too. But go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. I need you to get these notifications so we get more people. Hey, Mark. Bella Lago used to have a cool one. Overstreet House. I've actually never seen that one. We'll have to head over there. Check it out. It's not too far from where I'm at. All right, as I was saying, I need you guys to subscribe and get the word out. Share this, okay? Leave a comment. Tell me about those historical markers that you're finding. Like Mark just left out. Oh, they tore it down. That's sad. But anyway, as you can see, this conversation right here, this is why I like doing these live videos. I like being able to have this conversation with you guys. So share this out. Get the word out. Let's get some more subscribers. Let's keep this going, okay? You guys ready? All right, here we go. Now, talking about the Civil War 100, like I said, we had number 97 on the list today. Number 97 is Charleston Harbor. Now, as we go through this list, we're going to talk a lot about Charleston. There's a lot that happens in South Carolina, a lot that happens in Charleston specifically, but there's a specific date that we have in mind. Charleston Harbor, February 17th, 1864. Why February 17th, 1864? Because that was the night of the attack on the USS Housatonic. What does that mean? Why are we talking about that? Because it was attacked by the HL Hunley. Now, if you go through my 360 videos, if you look at my other playlist, in the 360 playlist, you will see a 360 video that I talked about the HL Hunley. I'm going to talk a little bit about it here. I'll talk about there. But that night was the first successful attack where a submarine sunk an enemy ship. Think about that for a second. I mean, what is it, 2019, right? You think submarines, you think World War II, right? World War I even. I'm talking about the Civil War here, guys. Come on. So here we have the HL Hunley, a submersible that has a mine on it. And I'll get into details in a second, but has this mine on it, and it sinks a Union ship. How awesome is that? That they had the innovation and they had the technology, and we're talking 1864. Wow, right? Now, here's the thing. Submarines have been around for a while. This isn't a new concept, okay? You go back more than 2,000 years. In fact, we have examples of Aristotle, and he had, I believe it was the turtle ship, whatever you call it. That was 338 BC. The Chinese, they have records back to 200 BC, okay? But they didn't really do anything, okay? Now, fast forward to 1578, they talked about, in England, designing a ship with ballast so you could raise and lower it in the water. That never really left the drawing room table, ideas, but never really into fruition. Now we're up to 1620, and a man named Cornelius Drebbel actually built a submersible and sailed it across the Thames River, right in the middle of London. That's crazy, isn't it? Now, what about American history? Obviously, that's kind of the focus here is American history. 1776, David Bushell. Now, this is where it's turtle. I had my notes wrong. He actually tried to sink a British ship, the HMS Eagle. It was New York Harbor. 1776, Battle of New York. Watch the musical Hamilton. They sing a song about it. But it failed. It didn't sink. So not the first successful attempt, but you see the beginnings here, right? But now, that's 1776. Fast forward, Robert Fulton, the great innovator of the steam engine and steamships, right? He had the idea for what he called the Nautilus. And that Nautilus was probably going to be a good design, but because the government wasn't going to continue funding him, he backed out. He didn't really do anything with it. So now we're up to the Civil War. Hopefully that was a couple minutes, just recap real quick. But now let's talk about the Civil War. The Union, had the idea of a submarine as well. They called it the Alligator. It eventually sank off the coast of Cape Hatteras in North Carolina, and they just kind of scrapped it from there. But there was no real sense of urgency for the Union because they had the vastly superior Navy. Their ships could take on anyone. They didn't have to worry about being innovative. They just used their might, their brawn, right? So here we go. The Union not worried about it, but the Confederacy, they say, let's see if we can't work on a submersible. And a man named HL Hunley said, let's do it. Well, and they're building in Alabama, right? And they test it, it sinks. So they bring it up, rebuild it, they test it again, sinks again. The Confederates are ready to scrap the project. They're like, listen, it keeps sinking, it's not going to work. Hunley says, no, keep going. So they test it again, sinks. This time, Hunley was testing it, he actually drowned. That's when they renamed it. The ship used to be called just the submersible. Now they renamed it after the inventor, H.L. Hunley. Well, but it's still not really working for them. So what do? They send it to Charleston Harbor under the command of Lieutenant George Dixon. Now, the story of George Dixon, I love telling my students this story because it's actually really cool because he was actually at the Battle of Shiloh before this. Now we're talking about 1862. So go back a couple years. And he had just left his wife of, I think, 3 weeks, 30 days, something like that. And when he left, I wish I had it with me. I don't have it. I'll explain in a second. When he left, his wife gave him a gold coin about this big. Carried it with him. She said it'll be his good luck charm. Battle of Shiloh, he gets shot right in the leg. But the bullet hits the coin. Actually deforms it, right? But it kept the bullet from entering his leg. It saved his life. So you know what he does? He actually has it engraved with his initials, the date of Battle of Shiloh, and writes on it, "My life preserver." It really is his lucky coin, right? So, he actually keeps it in his pocket for the rest of the war. I'll get to that too. Now, fast forward, 1864. The Anaconda plan has the Charleston Harbor blockaded. So they're like, we have to break this blockade somehow. Blockade runners can get past, but they can't stop them. So Dixon says, you know what? Let's take out this Hunley and let's blow up a ship. Now, what kind of weapon do they have? Well, you have the submersible itself, right? Then they have the spear off the front of it with a keg of about 90 pounds of black powder. And in front has a little hook. And what they do is they literally put 8 men plus Dixon in this little tin can, and they use a hand crank, and they crank it out, and they get to the Housatonic. Now, what happens is they crank, and they ram the side of the ship. The hook sticks into the side, okay? Then they back away. There's a little slip collar, leaving the barrel of gunpowder as they crank the other way and try to get away. Now, obviously, they were cruising and not super fast, but fast enough that, and underwater, that the crew of the Housatonic didn't see it until it was too late, and they couldn't turn their guns on it. Now, what happens is they ram it, and as they back away, there's a percussion cap inside the barrel tied to a rope. And as they get far enough away, the rope gets pulled tight, pulls the percussion cap, boom. The explosion causes the Housatonic to sink. First successful sinking by a submarine is pretty cool. Now, they end up opening the hatch. Dixon raises the lantern. The guys on the shore see the boat, and they're like, oh, they must be coming back. That was the last they ever heard of them. Oh, my goodness. It's kind of crazy to think about this. Now, if you look at like Charleston Harbor, I know I don't really have a whiteboard or anything. Here's the shore, here's the Housatonic. Where would you expect to find them? Probably in this area here, right? They couldn't find it. 1995, we're talking 131 years later. 1995, with the help of Clive Cussler, the author, they actually find it. Housatonic shore, they found it over here. Apparently, when it sank, the current took it away. Okay, now they raised some money, and they eventually raised it in the year 2000. Now, they're trying to figure out what actually happened. And the belief is, and there's been a couple theories here, but the belief is that a couple of things happened. One, the percussion from the explosion, 90 pounds of gunpowder, it's a lot. The percussion of the gunpowder was just too much, and they were too close, and it knocked the guys out, or at least injured them. Another belief is that the percussion, again, being too strong for them being too close, is that it damaged the boat. That when they were on the surface and he shone the lantern, no problem. When they went back under, it caused the ship to leak, which then caused it to sink and then float out to sea. We don't know 100%, but those are the two beliefs. And again, 90 pounds of gunpowder is a lot, so it makes sense. I kind of get it. Now, they raised it in 2000. It's actually on display. And again, I mentioned my 360 video earlier. They have it on display at the Naval Field in Charleston. You can go see it. If you ever get to Charleston, I highly recommend it. It's so cool. Like, they have a great museum, but you literally get to see a Civil War submarine. They keep it submerged in a chemical so it doesn't rot any further, and they're cleaning it. I've been there a couple times. I want to go back again because they're constantly cleaning it, discovering new things. But when they raised it, and they exhumed the bodies, which they've since interred in Charleston, gave them a full military burial, in the captain's seat. And this is how they knew it was George Dixon. In his chest pocket, 140 years later, there was this gold coin marked GED, my life preserver. How crazy is that? Now, I always thought that was a great story. I like sharing it. What do you guys think? Leave me comments. Talk to me about it. If you have questions, ask them. I'll see if I can answer them. I like stories like that. I think that's what makes the Civil War cool. Those little neat tidbits. Now, getting back to our countdown, why is it number 97? I mean, on the grand scheme of things, it's a pretty big deal. First successful submarine attack on an enemy ship. But really, it wasn't until 1914 with the German U-boats that another submarine sank an enemy ship. So, think about that. Big deal, but not to the Civil War. So, in regards to everything else we're going to talk about with the Civil War, it kind of, falls towards the end of the list, but it's still there. And I'm glad I got to share it with you guys. But yeah, if you have comments, leave them below. I'll see if I can answer them. Again, this is number 97. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. I think it's about time. We're about 13 minutes in, so I think it's about time to sign off. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Hopefully next week I'm back and we'll look at number 96. All right, guys. So I'm going to sign off. Hope you guys have a great night. I will see you around. Have a great night, guys. It's Confederate submarine test. What you taught us in class when we led the singing. Tried to use iron, which worked. Yes, because remember we talked about the Korean ship. The what was they called? I forget the Korean name, but they made in case they didn't lead and it was too heavy. So now that they have advanced steel, that's kind of where that comes from. All right. So yes, exactly. It was the progression over time. Now that they have a ship that they could actually, cruise. Because remember, it's hand cranked. They couldn't put a steam engine underwater yet. They weren't that advanced. They needed to the diesel in the future. Very cool. All right. Any other questions, leave them in the comments below. Go ahead and hit like. Go ahead and hit subscribe, please. And share this out. Let people know that these are going on. Tell them to tune in on Monday. So it looks like 7 o'clock might be a good time. I got a few viewers here. So it's been 14 minutes. I hope you guys had a great night. I had fun. I enjoy talking to you guys. So for Virtual History 360, I'm Mr. Wade. Thank you.